Mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi, and she yells, "Oh, girl, you gotta hear this one." A man was arrested for running the theme park, and when they said, "Where's your license?" he said, "My dog gave it." Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one." Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, "You'll never guess who's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up." Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one."
Hey everybody, it's Squid. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing well. And can you hear me? I was messing with some audio stuff yesterday, and I just want to make sure that when I put everything back in place, I didn't screw it up. Hope everybody is doing okay today. So we are going to be covering the NTSB report, and it's starting now.
Aviation Safety Board, and I'll continue to repeat this every time we speak to you, but on behalf of everyone at the NTSB and throughout, our most sincere condolences go out to the family and those that have been affected by this. We know as each day it goes a little bit farther, it becomes a lot tougher. We're still in the fact-gathering phase of our investigations, and I want to recap a few things that we've already accomplished so far. Most importantly, to present again, Shi-Hoon Shin, that's CHIHOONSHIN, who is our investigator in charge. I also want to make sure we thank all of the first responders. As I said yesterday, Louisville EMA director and the other individuals have been extraordinary in this. The airport authority, the elected officials, the community has truly come together, and I know Louisville is suffering, but they've really shown their ability to work through this tragedy and to assist us in trying to find out what happened. Again, our role is not to speculate on the cause of why we're here. We want to know what happened and why it happened, and the most important thing is to make sure that it doesn't happen again. As a reminder, earlier, as we said, we believe we may know the exact debris field, but if anyone has located any debris in their yard or knows anything, they can contact us at witness@ntsb.gov. That is witness@ntsb.gov. And today we conducted another family briefing for those survivors on the ground, or for those that have a family or others on the ground. It took several hours. We went through a lot of information. You can obviously tell it's a very tough time for them. I personally spent several hours at the debris field, and I can tell you the debris field itself is still active in more ways than one. In fact, while we were there with the emergency management coordinator, there were some spot fires that were popping up in some compressed paper products and emitting a lot of smoke. There's still hundreds of feet of hose line that are spread throughout there in preparation for anything else that may be needed. One of the reasons why some people might ask, not everything's been put out, is putting additional water on there or additional firefighting apparatus can disturb the scene. So they've been great to work with us. I would also mention there are over 100 first responders at the scene, along with others that are helping to secure it, and that is ongoing. Collectively, we've identified over 500 people that have responded or involved in the investigation to this point. I'm going to give you some specific information that we have that we've been able to come up with so far. The cockpit voice recorder contained 2 hours and 4 minutes of what we consider good quality digital recorded audio. In reviewing that audio, the crew completed their standard checklists and briefings in preparation for the flight. The takeoff roll was what we called uneventful through the different speed callouts. About 37 seconds after the crew called for takeoff thrust, a repeating bell was heard on the CVR, which persisted until the end of the recording 25 seconds later. During this time, the crew engaged in efforts to attempt to control the aircraft before the crash. The NTSB will now be forming a CVR group comprised of technical experts on the MD-11 at the NTSB headquarters in order to review the recording and produce a written transcript. Now, this CVR transcript will be made public only when a majority of the other factual reports are placed in the NTSB public docket for this accident, and that will be several months from now. Additionally, in regard to the plane itself, the bulk of the left engine pylon was still attached to the left engine when the engine separated from the wing. Both of those components are in a secured facility and undergoing further examination. We have conducted additional searches in the grass area adjacent to runway 17R and are beginning to find additional pieces of the engine attachment. Additionally, later today, they will be doing another sweep using metal detectors and other types of apparatus. We have also completed a LiDAR scan of the topography, the debris field, the airfield, and that is assisting us a lot with a lot of other technical equipment that's been brought in for aerial recreation. We also are utilizing the FBI in assisting us with making safe a number of potential hazards for our investigation. This is very normal in an aircraft investigation. There are a lot of things such as compressed bottles, fuel suppression, or fire suppression materials. Those have to be made safe before we can disturb some of those areas. Yesterday, they made safe approximately 1/2 of them, and we've identified what we believe to be over 30, so that process is still ongoing today. I can say today we have been working in a full operational cadence except for a short amount of time due to potential lightning around the field. The safety of everyone at the location and working on this accident is paramount. But even with that work going on, we still understand the importance of the recovery of those who are still missing, and we were making sure that we are identifying any areas that may have potential victims and making sure that we're trying to prioritize so that the coroner and the medical examiner can obviously do their work. As you may have seen, or you may not have seen, but we actually sent a tweet out about the last 30 minutes. And so I want to make sure we read that for you so you know. During yesterday's media briefing, the preliminary information we reported was that the FAA ADSB data indicated a GPS altitude of 475 feet. When considering how FAA ADSB data is reported, this equates to approximately 100 feet above ground level. This is what we consider to be the most accurate, but I will also say we're corroborating that with the data from the flight data recorder, which is still being validated and will take several days to be validated. Now, I am going to let you know this will be our final on-scene briefing for the media. We will continue to have team members here working on not only the investigation, but the additional work that needs to be done. We will be providing additional media updates through our press releases and investigative updates through our headquarters in Washington. This is a normal practice for us. It's an ability to make sure that we are prioritizing all the resources in the appropriate place. So with that, we'll try to take some questions. None? Yes, ma'am.
So, just a heads up, yes, Heather, this was in Louisville, Kentucky, which is, if you are all familiar with Larry, this is his neck of the woods. And Al, they will be interviewing everybody. From what I know about NTSB and FAA investigations, having someone with personal knowledge having been involved in one, they will scrutinize everybody who touched that aircraft going back months. If you turned a screw on that aircraft, you will be interviewed. They don't discriminate. They hate everybody, and they are not nice about it either. They might seem like they are respectful when they're doing interviews. They have a job to do, and they don't sugarcoat their job when they're interviewing people. They will they will rip you a new one if they have to. So it's like, yes, sir. Do you have a understand that Twitter said there are no tweets? Oh my god. Will also depend on the way the cargo is tied down in place. Hey, mom, MD-11s are what they fly out of Milwaukee, right? For UPS. UPS uses a lot of MD-11s. And I'm, okay, the MD-11's 3 engines. Engine 1, I think, is on the left wing. Engine 2 is in the tail, and engine 3 is on the right wing. Correct? I might have 1 and 3 mixed up, but engine 3 had a failure. Engine 1 fell off at roughly the same time. I don't think those are a coincidence. I happen to think that the engine that removed from the aircraft had something happen where thought gets everywhere. I think the debris from one engine damaged the other engine. That's just because they can fly with 2 engines. But I'm that's just my. But as always, we will be following this just like we followed other air disasters. Unfortunately, in this country, right now, the NTSB is a little bit tighter with their website because of funding. So they probably won't have it up as quickly as they have other things. However, when the initial report is put up there, they will. We will get it and we will read through it and figure out exactly what they found. Preliminary speaking. We will also be seeing the docket if they ever release it. Right now, it's too new. The docket is not open to the public. But if they do ever release it, I have it thumbed or bookmarked. I will be checking it weekly to see if they release the docket at all. If they release the docket, we'll be going through some of that stuff. All right, guys. Let's get back to this. Oh, and for those of you who are new to my channel and may never seen me cover NTSB stuff, I have a whole aviation playlist. I am a former aviation electronics tech in the United States Navy. My mom worked for civilian airlines. Mr. Squid was military aviation as well and currently works in civilian aviation. So this is not my exact area of expertise, but it is. I have a lot of knowledge and insider knowledge from both the civilian side, having worked for a civilian airline, the military side. It's an area of expertise, sort of. I'm not an expert, but there's one in my house. All right, guys.
Valerie with WDRB News. Some residents are concerned about oil and black sludge in the waterways around the crash site. What is the NTSB doing about those issues?
So the question is regarding the environmental concerns around the site. The NTSB does not investigate the environmental concerns around there, nor is it responsible for upkeeping it. I do know that the Kentucky Division of Water, the EPA, and other people are on site. They're actively working on that. They're cognizant. I know the emergency management coordinator has mentioned this several times, but it's not really in the lane of the NTSB investigation for us to even speculate. Tom?
Mr. Inman, can you talk more about the alarm bell that was heard in the cockpit prior to the crash? Any idea what that alarm was?
Well, I said that there was a persistent bell. We need to take that FDR data as well to be able to, because there can be numerous different types of alarms and what they may mean. Obviously, we have a working theory right now, and we're trying to validate that against the FDR. That, with the corroborating evidence in regard to the video that we have, is obviously leading us to, we know that there was a fire occurring. But the call out and the alarm could also be a mixture of several different things. So I don't want to speculate too far. The FDR data and the examination by the groups on that will give us a lot more granularity and be able to help paint a better picture. Yes, sir.
I just want to get some clarity on the timeline of events. So you said 37 seconds into the plane moving was when the alarm bell took off, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the remaining...
Sorry. His question was, at 37 seconds, that's when the first repeating bell, I'm not using the word alarm, repeating bell.
So how much time in the seconds that followed did the pilots have to react?
So the question was, how much time did they have to react? Well, again, the recording lasted until 25 seconds after the initial persistent bells. That was the end of the recording. We believe that right now that the end of the recording was the final point of impact. But you also have to remember we need to go back and look at FDR data, which could have some other factors. There's over 400 data sets in the flight data recorder, which will tell us additional information. Obviously, these have some power supply redundancies, but at some point, there's just no other information to feed into it. So we provide that just to give you a timeline, but it is not the exact framing of when the accident occurred and how it occurred. Yes, sir.
Conrad Deluche, WHAS 11 here in Louisville. You're asking me specifically about how your investigation moving forward is going to look over the coming days and weeks, especially thinking about the debris field that is over Grade Lane.
Yeah, the question was about the continuation of the investigation, Grade Lane in that area. Again, we know that later today or tomorrow there will be heavy equipment. In aviation crashes, there are what are called salvers, aviation salvers. They're highly specialized in working accident scenes because they know exactly what can be picked up without damaging it and how to do that. And they have some specific equipment needs. Those are being brought in. They were en route. Surveys were done 2 days ago to make sure we had the right equipment. Once those come in, those will actually enable us to lift and move more things. And that will help along with the investigation itself. The one complicating factor for this scene is because of the type of businesses where this impacted, is you're seeing a lot of combination of similar metals or alloys. And so we'll have to distinguish between aircraft parts and those which may already be on the ground. But we've already made plans to try to move as much of that off-site and then evaluate what we need to in a different location, which will hopefully free up more of the debris area. We're cognizant of the disruptions of a lot of the businesses around there and the fact that people need to go back in and check on their property and be able to find and look for some of their lost items as well. Yes, sir.
Has anything about this investigation been atypical compared to past investigations?
So the question is anything about this investigation been atypical versus past NTSB investigations? I would say every investigation is completely unique, and we walk into it from the very first step saying we have no premise. All we can do is take the facts that are presented to us, analyze them, and then validate and try to come out with the best investigative report. So the NTSB's done 150,000 aircraft investigations in its history. We have a very good process. We have a lot of great experts. We're being supported by a lot of subject matter experts, but every one of them is completely different.
So, similarly,
Hey, I'll call on you. Yes, sir?
Jonathan Gregg, Spectrum News. Any additional information in the last 24 hours about the MD-11 aircraft when it was in San Antonio? Anything that you learned additionally about that time it spent there for maintenance?
So the question was about the MD-11 whenever it was in San Antonio. We, as I said, or I didn't say, I'm sorry, it was in for what we call a heavy check. That is something that is used in every airline, which UPS is an airline itself, uses different terminology, but it is considered a heavy check. We've actually dispatched additional people to retrieve some records. The FAA has assisted us in doing that, and the good thing is they have a monitoring system on any of type of those repair facilities. So we feel that we're going to get all the information we need, but it's going to be a lot of information, and so it's going to take a long time to go through and sort through everything that was done while we make sure we're focusing in the right areas. Yes, ma'am.
Alexis Matthews, WLKY. Now that you have been at the crash site, do you anticipate needing to be here longer than a week or a little bit more than you anticipated, or are you still in that time?
So the question was, at the crash site, do we anticipate being here for another week? We will be here as long as it takes. Some of us may transfer out because we're better using the resources to bring in other people. But I can tell you this much, we're not going to leave until we know that we've secured all of the perishable evidence and all the information that will be necessary to come out with the most comprehensive investigative report. We will do it as quickly as we can, and with respect to those people who still who have family members that have not been found. So we understand that. We balance that. We also have to monitor fatigue for a lot of people, so we may rotate through some people. And I know one of the other things that happens is it's sometimes helpful, new sets of eyes open up different opportunities for us. So the good thing is we have a good cadence, and we're working on that cadence to make sure we're doing as efficiently as possible, but more importantly, making sure we're doing everything that's necessary. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jonathan again from Spectrum News, and going off of that, is the NTSB here until all of the missing persons are found, or does that search get ultimately transferred if that happens, if it comes to that point?
So the question is, does the NTSB stay until all of the victims are found? Our role is not the victim recovery. That is being handled by the local authorities. They're doing an excellent job with everything they can. Our job is to collect the perishable evidence associated with this aviation crash, find out what happened, why it happened, and to prevent it from the future. That's probably it. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Anything else you can tell us?
Well, we're going to do two more, by the way. That's going to be it.
Any other details you can share about your findings surrounding the left engine, the age, service record?
Anything else about the left engine? Other than the physical characteristics I said that we have recovered and the other parts that we're looking for, there's not anything specifically more that we can share. I do know that the job cards, which take care of the instructions of how things are done and in what stood up in order, those have been given to us. So our people are looking at it. And I can also indicate we've requested from UPS an exemplary aircraft. And this would be an aircraft that they currently have in their fleet that have the same type of engines. They've been more than willing to provide one so that our inspectors can go and look at similar ones that are with the exact same type of configurations. And I believe today or tomorrow, some of our operations team are actually going to be in the simulators for the ND-11 that are here on site, which is very helpful. And they can look at the cockpit configuration to be able to run some scenarios that they need to come up with that. One more question.
I guess based on what is the significance of the left engine being attached to the pylon? Can you just explain that in layman's terms, what that would mean in the investigation?
The question is in regard to the left engine being attached to the pylon. With the video evidence that we have and what we've been able to see, we know that that area needs to be an area of focus. By letting you know that the pylon is still attached, or let me clarify, the pylon was attached at the time that it disengaged from the aircraft. Now, subsequently, there could be damage that occurred upon its impact with the terrain. So I want to clarify that because when we release pictures, it may not look like what someone would think that we said now. But that is significant to us because it lets us move the focus into other areas. It also allows us to do, in our laboratory in DC, we have metallurgical analysts, and we do a lot of very specific analyzation of that data. So we need to try to figure out, and I think the question yesterday is how much of the airplane we put back together. This is an area based upon the video evidence we have that we know we need to focus, but it won't be the sole focus. It's one aspect of it, but we need to actually try to do as much as we can to figure out that area because we know we have some form of cause of issue or concern there. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for the clarity.
Okay, well, King Bob, your comment made me kind of freeze up for a second. My high school best friend from Pittsburgh is a pilot for UPS, so this had me go crazy for a few hours until I found out what kind of plane. I can't even imagine right now. However, um, Louisville is a hub for UPS. So when trying to go on NTSB's website and look for um, issues with this, um, we I found some other crashes in Louisville. Nothing um, s- is horrible that I could find, but but um, I'm gonna mute this just to see if they're okay. They are done. You never know. You never quite know with the government if they're done or not. So, but I did find some other crashes, and I don't have the report up. Oh wait, I do. There was a Boeing MD-11. So MD-11 is made by McDonnell Douglas. However, McDonnell Douglas no longer exists. It was bought by Boeing. So with all the problems we've seen with Boeing in the last few years, it my conspiracy theory brain, not that there's like a my conspiracy theory brain goes, it was bought by Boeing and then there's all these problems with MD-11s. Not just that MD-11s are old as shit, but um one of the engines fell off. Why one of the engines fell off? I'm not sure. I just yeah, that's what is still there are a couple other um NTSB briefings from the last couple of days that we didn't cover because we were covering other things. But when I saw this and I clicked on it and it hadn't happened yet, it was like 20 minutes away. I'm like, oh, I got to cover this live. Um, but I did want to show this. Do. This was a Boeing accident, a Boeing MD-11 um, landing accident, June 7th, 2005. So McDonnell Douglas MD-11. I don't know exactly what this is an MD-11F. I do not know what the model of this one was. Um, so Flight 6971 was substantially damaged during landing at Louisville International Airport. No injuries and 2 flight crew members or 2 passengers. So this isn't you look at this, so someone might bring this up, and I want to put this into a context. So when taken out of context, a UPS issue, a UPS plane issue within the last 20 years um, at Louisville sounds bad. However, put this in the context of Louisville is a hub for UPS, flies hundreds, if not thousands, of flights out of Louisville every day, week, year. So for the last one that I could find being in 2005, it's not common. So I know we've covered a lot of aviation accidents on this channel lately. However, these are not common incidents when you think of how large the US is and how many flights happen in the US per day. So it's, oh yes, I love Captain Steve. If you actually hold on, I'll show you my YouTube on my phone. Um, so this is the last video I watched was so um I was actually watching Captain Steve as I was researching this. Because I don't know about y'all, but I always feel like when I'm fasting, I will watch videos on fasting for motivation. When I'm researching a topic, I will watch videos on the topic to give me like rabbit holes to dive down. Because when I hear somebody mention something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. well, what about this? And then it makes me think of other things. So I watch other people's videos. Captain Steve, like, I would love to have a conversation with that man. Maybe now, since he's retired, I can email him and he might have a conversation with me, because he used to fly P3s. P3s are not the same as E2s, but they're the only other prop plane. So they're, you know, yes, I did. And I watched, you sent me a Thomas DeLauer video. I watch Thomas DeLauer all the time too. He's one of the people I follow. Um, so it's, you know, but taking this out of context, it looks bad because it's like, oh, it's Louisville, it's a DC-11, it's UPS 20 years ago. But at the same time, it's like, with the amount of flights that UPS flies every day, UPS has a contract with Amazon. Think about that. I don't know if y'all know, because those of you who live in bigger cities, you have Amazon drivers. Around here, we don't have Amazon drivers. We have UPS. So UPS does a lot of Amazon stuff. So think about how big Amazon is, how many times you get that 2-day, that overnight or 2-day delivery. It's UPS who's generally doing it. So they fly so much. But this was a landing problem, not a takeoff. I've lost 2 of my children already, so this has stirred up all of that as well. I've been crying. Just the thought of, I'm so sorry. Give hugs. Ah, I don't know. It takes you 5 minutes to get to the airport. It takes me like an hour. Um, it used to take me 5 minutes when I lived in Milwaukee. I grew up in the runway, um, in the runway path of Mitchell International Airport. So going over, it would be like, can you hear me now? And then being in military aviation, I'm used to a bunch of stuff. So it's just one of those situations where, yeah, I will not show it on here, because I tend to show a lot of things on here that could be triggering for people, but this is not the one thing, because it is just there's plenty of people who are showing it. So if you want to see it, there's easy places to find it. However, we will be covering this. It's right now. I just wanted to see what the NTSB was saying. So this is going to be a relatively short stream. Mama's good. I miss the little Beechcraft props. They were so fun to fly on. Oh no. You can keep that. No. I was search and rescue with Civil Air Patrol. We are an international airport just because UPS flies international. Technically, we were an international airport in Milwaukee because around Christmas time, there'd be flights to Mexico. You know? Duncan, Idaho, thanks for being a member for 13 months. Oh, already 5x5, loud and clear. Your son lives in Louisville. He has kids in the school he is a principal for. They are family of victims. Can't imagine. Yeah, UPS is Louisville's third largest employer. It's one of them things where it's like, we cover it on this channel, but we also cover it knowing, just like we did with the Delta collision. It's not a crash. It was a collision in DC. You cover it, and you cover it scrutinizing the situation, but also being respectful that people lost their lives. And, Milwaukee also flew to Toronto. Yeah. Yeah, but Mama Squid has a wild side. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, even the high schools partner with UPS to give high school students jobs. That's crazy. I mean, I lived in a place where there was a Toyota plant, so the Toyota plant it was like the largest employer in the city, you know? But you have no idea You have no idea. Um, however, I think that's all I really wanted to cover today and just kind of go over what I thought of this situation. Um, Personally, I think that when that engine, for whatever reason, fell off, but the pylon fell off with it, according to what they just said today, and they have both parts. So for the pylon, so I'm going to show a picture of an MD-11 pylon or an engine. But these engines are so sensitive to FOD, foreign object debris. So it's anytime that you see one engine have a problem, the other engines probably might have a problem too. But it is a General Electric engine. I really, really, really would like to see the maintenance records. That's why I'm really hoping that they release the docket. I don't know if they will. They did for the DC crash. However, we didn't get the chance to go through because there was thousands of pages. Like holy crap! And we just had to kind of Spawn and I had to kind of take a back seat for the aviation stuff for a little while, just for the mental health, because there was just a lot of not good things. However, we still have that entire docket to go over, which is thousands of pages, thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of information. So thanks for sharing this. In Canada, the Canadian food industry just called over a... Ooh, huh? What? Hell, why? I don't know. Yeah. What the heck? Yeah, I'm with Gail. What the heck? GE, they bring good things to life. It's a situation that it mm. So here's a picture of the MD-11 from KLM. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Stop this. So you can see this is the engine that fell off. This was the engine that was damaged. So in theory, they can fly with two engines. However, if you get this engine, they were on fire shortly after leaving the ground. I want to say like 50 feet. Maybe even before they took off. But something from this engine had to have gotten sucked into this engine, causing a problem. I think it was a condenser failure. Don't quote me on that. I have not seen it written down. This is just what I've heard. And just like anything else, this is why I read reports. Captain Steve and Vaza Aviation are like the only two people that I watch aviation wise that I actually like take their words. Because Vaza Aviation plays a lot of audio. And then Captain Steve is a former Navy pilot, very knowledgeable. I've watched him for a long time, so I take those two with, but everybody else, I'm like, it's hearsay. You know, Louisville had changed their runway a while back. Don't understand why they went towards petroleum recycling plant when it changed. I would love to know more about why. I don't know. And there is a thing about, at least in Milwaukee, whereas like at the end of the runway, there has to be a certain distance. Like they've tore down houses. The airport has bought the land because they were changing a runway, and you can't have businesses and houses and stuff within a certain distance of the runway. I don't I have to look at where this actually, because they were airborne, so they had to have been in line with the runway using common sense. I know, how dare I use that common sense word, but, you know? So I could see, like, in Milwaukee, there's an actual tunnel over a road that's a runway, and there's businesses all along there, bars and stuff. But that's at the end of the runway, it's still all blank. It's still not nothing there. It's empty fields and stuff. So I'm like wondering, is Louisville's airport not doesn't have the same regulations? Is that a Milwaukee County regulation that they can't have anything with a certain distance of the runway? Mm. Well, usually I go live at like 2, but I only put Monday through Thursday because Fridays are like a bonus. If I do it, I do it, but it's like don't expect it kind of a thing. Um, s- Fridays are generally where if something comes up like this last minute or cases that always have shit going on, you know, ah, they bought a whole neighborhood. I'm just, it makes me wonder now because that's the only airport that I ever worked around besides Navy airports, you know. But I'm just wondering if that was a Milwaukee County regulation or if that was just like an airport thing or an FAA thing. So I'm gonna have to do some research on that because this has got me kind of curious now. I used to go to the recycling plant for parts that would never have guessed that that would happen. I mean, and you never do. I mean, it's not like you go about your daily base, you know, your daily business going, oh, I wonder if there's going to be a plane crash today. Or if there's a crash, what, you know, what happens? It's like my friend owns a house that's like right here and there's a road going right into her house. So I mean, if someone misses the stop sign, they're going to go right to her living room. She doesn't wake up on a daily basis and say, I wonder if someone crashes into my house today. But at the end of the day, it's always a possibility. So it's kind of it's a rare thing. But I took notes. I dropped my notebook on the floor, but I took notes during that. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch the other things. I am trying to edit the video for the other channel. I finally recorded it last night with the new setup. I know I said I would have it out to you guys on Wednesday. I didn't expect to get a new desk and a new setup and a new camera all in the same week. Crazy. Um, so true. Who even wants to fly anymore these days? I don't know. I don't know. It's an airport FAA thing, especially since 9/11. I mean, but here's the thing, in Milwaukee, it could be because the county owns the airport, all the airlines pay the county for using the gates. I'm gonna have to do some research, so, you know. But also remember what's been going on, um, we also have a old as dirt FAA system, or, our systems are old. They need to be repaired, replaced. They don't need to be repaired, they need to be replaced and updated to 21st century technology. However, we also have more information, more access to information. Just remember how many flights happen at every airport and everything around the country. So, yes, although there's been more aviation accidents, we need to take into account that look how big our country is. Flying from New York to LA is what, a 6 hour flight, 5 hour flight? So, like, this was going from Louisville to Hawaii. It was an 8 hour flight. Um, think how big our country is and how many airports are in our country. And then when you do the math on it, yes, it happens, but it's a very small percentage. It's just the news reports all the bad shit that happens. How often do you see the news reporting positive things? You don't. That's why if you want to keep your sanity, you generally don't watch the news. Massachusetts to Philippines is 24 hours. Yeah. It was just, well, Mama Squid worked for an airline for years. Years. Midwest Airlines was way behind in gate fees. Yes, and that's why they got bought by Brian Bedford and Republic. So if y'all ever hear me, yesterday when we were streaming, or somebody mentioned Brian Bedford in one of their streams, and I was like, I hate that dude. That dude used to be my boss. I hate that dude. I get so when he works in the government now, and when I hear his name, I cringe because I honestly hate that dude. I had him as a boss, not an immediate boss. He was my CEO, but still, the fact that I've had him over me is like I know how he runs things, and I just do not like him. Um, the news no longer reports car accidents. If they reported every accident, you have 24/7 feet of just car accidents. Even just those involved fatalities would be a large number. Yep. Don't say crazy. I answered that. All right. Well, I'm going to hop off of here, guys. I'm going to see if there's anybody that I can redirect you guys to because I just wanted to cover this really quick. However, and kind of give a first introduction to this because we haven't talked about it on this channel yet. So, with that being said, when I saw it, I did add it to the aviation playlist. So if you do want to check out the aviation playlist, we have hours and hours and hours of aviation coverage. Come on, customization. Who is live right now? Nobody that I know of is live right now. However, there's Shizzy has 2 streams planned. So Shizzy doesn't have a stream until 8 o'clock tonight, the FNL pre-party, but I am going to send you guys over there. So one, y'all can go give him a like. And secondly, y'all can find it and go back to it at 8:30 tonight. So y'all have a great day, and I will see you guys Sunday morning for the live stream on Evidence Through Motion, where it'll be an Ask Me Anything because I was running late with uploading the video. I have it right here. I'm in the process of editing it. I am just super picky, and that's the problem. So y'all have a great day. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.